Welcome to the Uplift. Get on in here. We have a great show for you today and a great cast of characters. A beluga whale who befriended villagers on the coast of Norway and became a member of their community. A mother-daughter duo who hiked for a whopping 6 months and had a good reason behind their epic journey. A mom who delivered a baby where? Plus, the people who jumped in to help her when she went into labor in the unexpected place. And a popular YouTuber who creates his wacky yet informative videos in his secret lab. All that, plus our heartwarming videos you just need to see. You are watching The Uplift. Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm Nate Burleson, and this is the show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes. We begin all the way in Norway, where a whale has become part of the community. Here's Caitlin O'Kane with more.
In the small Arctic city of Hammerfest, Norway, you may have to get into a boat to see the town's most iconic resident, Valdimir the beluga. The gentle giant is not from Norway. The townspeople believe he once worked as a Russian spy whale and then fled.
I always say it sounds like something that like a comic book artist ran out of ideas or something in the 50s and created this. He was trained to do military spy work. You can send a whale a lot further and a lot longer and a lot deeper than you can a human, first of all. And second of all, that whale can go undetected.
Valdimir likely had cameras strapped to him. He boldly left his old life behind, showing up on the coast, alone and in need of help.
He started pulling at fishermen's boats and buoys and equipment and getting their attention. One of the fishermen in Norway really realized something's wrong with this picture. There's a whale wearing a harness. He got in the water himself and was able to undo the harness and take Valdimir out of the harness, which I think is really important, an important thing to have happen for Valdimir, because I don't think he probably could have lived his whole life in that too comfortably.
Once freed, Valdimir bonded with the townspeople. The community came together to take care of him, raising money to feed him fish and keeping an eye on him to make sure he was safe. But even with his human friends, Valdimir lives a lonely life as the only beluga in the area. So filmmaker Regina Crosby is leading the charge to help find a more sustainable situation for him.
It's an ongoing situation. He is free, but he is incredibly vulnerable, and so it's become much more than a film for me. I created a nonprofit for him called onewhale.org, and that organization's only objective in life is to protect him, help him survive, and hopefully give him a chance at a normal whale life.
Valdimir has already shown improvements since coming to Norway.
It was believed that he would never eat again on his own, and even the people who'd come from the captivity world that were feeding him were shocked to learn that he swam off, and they were afraid that he was going to starve. And he has taught himself or relearned his behavior to eat on his own.
Right now, the beluga lives at salmon farms around Hammerfest, but it's not the safest or most natural place for him to live.
Basically, he only knows, for the most part, life with humans. So it seems natural to him. He's so sweet, and I love that he's not alone, because he makes it very clear he doesn't want to be alone. Norway is vast. There's plenty of space if he wants to be alone. He just doesn't show any interest. So what he is interested in is humans, and the ones that are the most reliable are those that work on the sea every day, and that's the salmon farmers. So he's figured it out how to cope with the situation the best that he can. He thinks he's helping them out. He's there working on time, keeps a good schedule.
Still, threats exist out in the ocean, and since Valdimir isn't used to living in the vast sea, Regina's plan is to make a 500-acre reserve right in Norway for him to live in.
My dream is that we build the reserve, have this beautiful open space where he can be free, but also not have the threats of propellers, and there's no way for tourists to just have free game at him. And then that we have more belugas come into the reserve, and that he teams up and makes a little pod.
Once Valdemir learns how to live in the reserve, he'll hopefully be ready to transition into the ocean, no longer just one whale, but one of many.
All of the researchers and whale experts I've spoken with, they agree that the more whales, the better. So a pair of whales who are released to the wild, it's actually a greater success rate than if it was just one whale released to the wild.
He'll have to leave behind the human friends who took care of him all these years, but with him, he'll take their love and lessons, and he'll finally, truly be free.
See, that's a whale of a story you just had to see to believe it. Love that. Coming up, meet a woman who gave birth in an unexpected place.
My water broke on the way in the car. It's definitely scary. Definitely expected to be in the hospital.
You gotta find out where she welcomed her bundle of joy after the break. Plus, our heartwarming videos you just need to see. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back to the Uplift. We now have the heartwarming videos you just need to see. Starting with this one. A mom named Felicia was posing for a photo in London when this happened.
Smile. Yeah. Okay.
That is her son, Peter, who decided to surprise her with a photobomb. Mom was visiting from Ghana and hadn't seen her son in 10 years. Her daughter helped arrange Peter's surprise when she got to London. She didn't even have to see his face. She recognized his hand on her shoulder. That's a mama's love right there. All right, now take a look at this next video that shows a 3-year-old who has Santa all figured out.
A puppet! I wanted this from Target.
She said?
Wait, did Santa go to Target? Or to K mattress? Christmas. Okay, maybe something fun.
She's all over it. She's like, wait a minute. So there's no elves? Santa's just picking up stuff at Target? All right. Now, if that last video didn't convince you that you never can predict what a kid is going to say, how about this video of a 3-year-old named Hazel?
If you could say one bad word without getting in trouble, what would it be?
I want to say a nice word, baby shark.
Okay. I like that choice.
Baby shark, Hazel, well done. Hazel, you know a setup when you see one. That was the setup, and you played it right. Coming up, meet the mother and daughter who went on an epic hike to raise money for a cause that's close to their hearts. And we're not talking about a one-day hike. We're talking 6 months on the trail.
We talk about that all the time, that how do you grasp like how far we walked? Like it's hard to comprehend that we walked 2,200 miles.
And a woman who gave birth in an unexpected place, plus the heroes who sprang into action to help. We now introduce you to a woman who gave birth in an unexpected place, but fortunately, nearby heroes rushed to her side. Here's Scott McFarland with the story.
Christina Hansen's baby daughter, Quinn, enjoys the long walks in the stroller.
Okay.
On a sidewalk outside the U.S. Capitol, we caught up with Mom and her new arrival.
Washington.
They weren't just visiting here.
We've got some smiles now. We needed this fresh air.
Quinn was born right here. Hansen, a Washington, D.C. elementary school teacher, went into labor one morning this fall and, by her own admission, waited a little too long to head to the hospital. Barely into the drive, she knew she wouldn't get there.
Her head was coming out. My water broke on the way in the car.
Hansen's mom was driving and stopped outside the U.S. Senate after spotting Capitol police officers, then waved them over for help. Is that scary?
It's definitely scary. Definitely expected to be in the hospital to deliver Quinn.
Captain Carnicia Mendoza, who works in the agency's civil disturbance unit, ended up being one of 2 Capitol Police on the front lines of this beautifully civil disturbance.
I started talking to her and she told me her water broke, and then she said the head was coming out. So, I mean, when people say, good job, congratulations on delivering the baby, I say, you know, the baby really delivered herself.
K-9 Inspector Jackie Yaniga, 14 years on the job and herself a mom, coached and calmed Hansen and helped a medic cut the umbilical cord.
It's probably one of the best things I've done in my career, which was not expected whatsoever, but a pleasant surprise.
For the U.S. Capitol staff and community, which last year saw such ugliness and despair,
For first Christmas?
baby Quinn brings joy. The officers give gifts and regularly ask for photos. And Mom has a new favorite landmark around which to walk that stroller. You forever have a story to tell.
Oh, forever. Forever a story to tell about how this beautiful little girl came into this world at 11:54 a.m. on Constitution Avenue in our nation's capital.
Already making her own history.
Not all heroes wear capes or hospital scrubs. All right, we now have an awe-inspiring story about a mother-daughter duo who went on a hike together. And if you're wondering how that's outstanding, just know that it wasn't any hike. They walked for 6 months through about a dozen states. Here's CBS Minnesota's Susan Elizabeth Littlefield with more.
Glad to have you back. You did it! Yay!
We did. Oh my gosh! It's crazy.
Because it's almost unimaginable. Minnesotans Sue and Greta hiked from Maine to Georgia, up to 30 miles per day.
We talk about that all the time, that how do you grasp like how far we walked? Like, it's hard to comprehend that we walked 2,200 miles.
A journey, a mission. They've been raising $70,000 for Parkinson's research in honor of their husband and father, who's on a journey of his own to fight the disease. Does it make you think of Parkinson's on even a deeper level?
Yeah, it's a great parallel and a great analogy. Parkinson, there's a lot of obstacles in your way. You know,
mental and physical.
Yeah, right.
Sue knows firsthand. She had 2 major obstacles herself after falling in Pennsylvania.
9 stitches here, 10 staples, you know, at the top of my head. So we bought the helmet.
So they marched on. A feat so taxing, they each lost 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks.
I'm guessing you were pretty hungry.
We were literally starving.
2 miles at least.
Yeah. We burned on average 5,000. There was, I think, a 7,000 calorie day.
So Trail Angels became their saving grace.
I tallied it up the day after we finished, and we stayed in the homes of 25 different families who we had never met before.
Meeting them and their stories are just so powerful. That was by far the best part of the trail and the most surprising. We didn't even know what a trail angel was before we went on the trail.
As the Angels laid watch, they hit the finish in Georgia 4 days before Christmas, greeted by friends and the man behind the mission.
It so was about the people, and the kindness and the goodness and support and positivity is so alive and well in humanity. People say if you want to restore your faith in humanity, go hike the Appalachian Trail. And boy, oh boy, is that true. It's so true. People are amazing.
They sure are.
All right, here's a confession. I don't hike. I've never been hiking. But if you send me a Team Fox shirt, I will hike on behalf of the cause. All right, coming up, meet a wildly popular YouTuber who cranks out content in his Willy Wonka style factory. Get an inside look on how he makes science fun for everyone. Mark Robert has gained 23 million YouTube subscribers by making science fun. Jamie Wax visited Robert's secret lab in California where the magic happens.
Let's join him and watch Mr. Wizard.
Hi, Mr. Wizard.
Oh, hi, Willie.
Mr. Wizard.
Oh, hi, Rita. Come on in.
Bill Nye, the science guy.
Bill! Multiple generations have gained an interest
in science and technology, from entertaining experts.
So I understand we're ending with a bang.
Yes.
Performing fun experiments.
And so now in our case, instead of pumping, we fill this tank up with high-pressure nitrogen gas.
For today's audience, Mark Rober has taken that concept over the top.
I think you are the new incarnation of something that has been going on a long time. You teach facts in a very fun way.
Yeah, I like to hide the vegetables, right? Like, get kids stoked about science and education and engineering without realizing that's what's happening. I bring you in with, world's largest Jello pool, and it's a banger thumbnail. And it's like, what, a 15-ton Jello pool? And before you know it, you're learning about chemistry and the scientific method and how he came to this.
And it's not just kids who've become obsessed with his work.
The biggest compliment I can get is when a family says, the parents are like, I love your videos, my kids also love your videos, right? So can it be like this Pixar thing where it's it kind of works on many different levels?
Rober worked at NASA for 10 years, then Apple for 5.
Precious egg.
But when he got to 10 million followers, he followed his heart and his opportunities and changed direction.
To be fair, I was making more money off YouTube than I was at Apple for a few years. But then I was like, you know what, I just need to do this thing full time. So basically white shirt, cut a hole in the front, cut a hole in the back. I had a video about a decade ago, a Halloween costume where I had an iPad in front and an iPad in back. You do a FaceTime video chat, it looks like you have a hole in your body. And I uploaded it to YouTube, and the next day it had 1.5 million views. It was on the front page of these websites, and I was like, well, this is a cool feeling because I have more ideas.
His sense of being rewarded for creative innovation began while growing up as a quiet and introverted child who didn't speak until he was 4 years old.
In 3rd grade, we got the standardized tests back, and I did pretty well on them. And my mom saw the scores, and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, but there's a mistake here. This is definitely not my son, right? They'd always used to be like, plug in, Mark. This is what they'd say, because I lacked a certain amount of common sense.
But he didn't lack creative sense. It was when he was a kid that he came up with his first hack.
I was 6 years old, and my mom asked to help with dinner, and so, she had me cutting onions. So I went upstairs and got some swim goggles. And now this is understood as a life hack. But I was a 5-year-old, and there was no BuzzFeed back then to get these hacks on, right? That made such an impact on her, and I remember her laughing and just thinking it was super clever.
His mother passed away from ALS just 6 months before he posted his first video.
It's this really interesting thing where it's you don't know the full measure of your impact, even while you're here, you know what I mean? She was the biggest influence on my life by a comfortable margin. Welcome. The secret entrance. The idea is you come in here and you don't know that there's a super high-tech lab behind this bookshelf.
So here we come, where theory becomes practice. This is the spot.
Yeah, this is kind of the arena. So we build it in the other room, and then we can bring it in here to test it.
We visited him at Crunch Labs, his testing space/studio outside San Francisco.
And then
I was able to see and even try out a few of his most famous creations.
Here we go. Woo! Yes, that was amazing. I have to ask you, how much danger are you actually in these experiments?
I really do try and bring the viewer along for the ride. And we don't know what will happen when we go out and do these things. So here's our first test shot. I want to be careful and not make kids think it's okay to take risks.
Many of his proudest accomplishments have taken place outside the lab. Like declaring war on the thieving squirrels in his backyard.
So I was like, well, I'm a NASA engineer. I can protect my birdseed against these squirrels. So it became a man versus squirrel thing, an obstacle course.
And declaring war on thieving scam call centers.
They do about $20 million a year. And we basically used engineering to come up with smoke bombs, obviously glitter bombs. We had this one time delay lunchbox, and 100 cockroaches came out. Of course, we hacked their CCTV so we could watch the whole thing unfold real time. But the point is, I made a story and I brought you along for the ride so that people would share this video. And here it is. My goal with Crunch Labs is to help you think like an engineer.
His latest passion is called the Crunch Labs Build Box, a challenging educational toy that's delivered monthly.
So in this one, we learn all about flywheels and sort of the quanta effect and how frisbees fly.
Yeah. Wow. Look at this.
So it's one thing to passively watch a video, but to get there and to be building like alongside me as I show you how to put it together and then teach you how it works. And so I love this idea of just making it so accessible that, you know, hopefully anyone can put themselves in my shoes and think, you know, this is a cool thing, I could do this. I could see myself as that, as an engineer. This you might recognize.
Yes.
This is where it all started.
And all of this has led Mark Rober to his biggest and most rewarding engineering project yet, his remarkable life.
And using the power of pneumatics, you just step off.
Oh my gosh. Could you have imagined this life for you?
No, and it's so ridiculous. But do I know where I'll be 10 years from now? Absolutely not. But what I can promise you is I'm going to keep trying my hardest on every single rock I'm on and then just see where the path leads.
It's like one of my favorite shows, Dexter's Laboratory. See? Having a laboratory can be fun. All right, that's our show. I hope this news brightened up your day and lifted you up. That's what we like to do around here. Have a good one. Be nice to people.